What's up, guys? It's Chris.
What's up, guys? It's Chris, and you're watching Plumbing Explained. And today we're going to be installing a Moen pop-up assembly. Make sure that you're subscribed and you like the video and ring the bell so you stay up on all of our notifications. Alright guys, so as you can see, this pop-up was installed on a vessel sink. A vessel sink just sits on top of the countertop. It has typically just one or two holes drilled in it, one for the drain, maybe one to accommodate the supply lines. And yeah, that's about it. I'm not a big fan of this style of sink, and I recommend against it. Anytime you have to do any type of repair on at least this particular kind, you have to remove the entire sink from the countertop. It just becomes a big pain, guys. And, I just recommend against it, to be honest with you. Most of the time in plumbing, if it looks really nice, it probably doesn't work that well. So I'll typically take a pair of channel locks and grab the tailpiece, and then take another pair of channel locks and use them obviously counterclockwise on the tailpiece nut. This one just happened to fall apart, so I'm just going to go ahead and clean it up the bottom there with the putty knife. I'm going to use some spray to clean up the inside, which is the overflow area, because that gets a lot of buildup, and it's not easy to clean it unless you actually remove the pop-up. So anytime you remove the pop-up assembly on a sink with an overflow, you want to make sure that you take that time to clean out the overflow area, that like thick gap in between the drain, top of the drain and the bottom of the drain. And by drain, obviously, I mean the porcelain part of this drain part of the sink. Another thing, obviously, if you had to remove your sink like I did and the sink was heavily caulked in, you're going to want to make sure that you thoroughly clean that caulk seal so that the sink sits flush on the countertop when you go to replace it. And caulk just doesn't stick well to old caulk, so you always want to remove the old caulking before applying a new bead of caulk. It's also good to make sure that you're not rushing through this. You're taking your time and you're scraping the sink with, some finesse. Don't be going in this all hardcore, trying, like you're trying to chip concrete or something. You're simply trying to remove a caulk seal from the sink. So do yourself a favor and don't damage the sink. And right here, I'm trying to show you how dirty that overflow area can get. And that's the area that you really want to clean. I recommend some 409 or some bleach or something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now is unthread the nut and remove both the rubber gaskets. The thin rubber gasket you're going to want to keep if you don't have plumber's putty. But if you do have plumber's putty, and I recommend that you do use plumber's putty, you're going to want to roll out a small little thin snake of plumber's putty and then bead that around the bottom of the flange of your pop-up. If you don't have the plumber's putty, like I said, just use that thin rubber gasket up on the bottom flange of the pop-up. When you stick that through the sink, it will work as your plumber's putty. I just feel plumber's putty is a little bit more professional, and it's probably going to last you a little bit longer than that rubber gasket. But I have used that rubber gasket many times before, and it does hold up quite well. With some of these style pop-up assemblies, I actually recommend that rubber gasket. But with the Moen, you're better off with plumber's putty. So before we put the pop-up in, let's give the overflow one last cleaning, one last wipe down, since it's not going to see the light of day again for another few years, if we did this right at least. Now you're going to want to stick your pop-up assembly through, take your cone-shaped washer, face it upwards toward the bottom of the sink, push that up with your mounting nut, start threading that mounting nut on. You're going to want to get it on there, but not all the way tight. I always like to leave a couple threads out, and then I come in with some liquid Teflon, some Slick Tight, some type of thread sealant. I coat that cone-shaped washer, and I coat the last few threads before I tighten it up all the way. And, I mean, call me superstitious, but before I started doing this, every now and then, like once in every 25 or 30 pop-ups I did, I'd get one that leaked. And ever since I started using this little Teflon or Slick Tight trick, I have never had a pop-up leak since. So I don't know. I mean, I just think the proof is in the pudding there, guys. So that's my recommendation. That's what I say do. And, it's up to you. It's not a must, but I definitely recommend it. So with these plastic pop-up assemblies, you want to make sure that you don't over tighten them. I like to get them hand tight and then maybe like a quarter turn with my channel locks. Like I said, that slick tight's going to make sure that you're definitely not going to leak. And if you've done this right, guys, you shouldn't leak anyways. So anyways, what prompted you guys to get this project done? What pop-up assembly did you go with? Let me know in the comments. Take care, guys.